So the priceless question is this: how are average people like us that play by the rules, going to school, listening to our parents, having to just settle in life, working day to day to make ends meet, but how are we now making above average income, getting massive cash flow, and having the time freedom to do what we want, when we want, and how we want? That's the real question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Maurice Trimble Jr., aka the Rich Lab Rat, and welcome to Clinical Study Secrets. Greetings, my fellow listeners. How are you? Maurice Trimble, aka the Rich Lab Rat here, the Lab Rat King. I am your host of the Clinical Study Secrets podcast. Welcome everybody. It has been a long time, and I must say it feels good to say I'm officially back. First off, I want to start off with this on this podcast to apologize to all my listeners, subscribers, those that follow me, and was wondering what's going on. Maurice, what happened? Mr. T, where are you? Had a lot going on in the last 8-month hiatus that I've stepped away from the scene. Things personal in life, a lot of deaths been going on, but it's been also a lot of solace, a lot of meditations, a lot of just spiritual connecting, and a lot of things that's been going on in terms of fatherhood, doing the things that I can, the best that I can, of course, and where I can be the best possible that I can be in terms of for all my kids, in terms of in their lives as well. So it's been definitely a time. This what I've had to learn in that time frame as well, of that more than 180 days time frame, pretty much over 200 days being away. The last podcast I remember was before my 46th birthday, around Thanksgiving time. Now it's getting to be summer's almost at the end and fall is upon us. And then winter, shortly after that, my birthday will be here, the 47th birthday. But I definitely want to say, before I get started with the podcast, that I apologize. That definitely will not happen again. I've come to learn from my mentor, Mr. Russell Brunson, in terms of marketing, advertising aspects, just being a funnel hacker. I've learned from him that, in life has things that come in the way. You have to keep publishing. You have to keep putting yourself out there. You have to, even though, because being transparent and being vulnerable is a way to where not only can you connect with all those that are out there that are listening, your viewers, your listeners, your followers, subscribers, whatever have you, but everybody goes through things in life. Everybody goes through situations of trials and error. And as I learned from also another mentor of mine of old time, Mr. Jim Rohn, as he learned from his mentor, Mr. Schoaf, right, that life is both difficulty and opportunity. Life is, you have peaks and valleys. Life is ups and downs. Is what life is. And, when you have a depression or when things are down, right, a recession, then you have expansion when things go back up. In the stock market, they like to say bull and bear, bullish market, bearish market, right? So it's the way it is of all things, like the yin yang philosophy that I very much love. You can't have one without the other. Biblical proportions talk about that as well. Now that I'm back and now that that's out the way, like I said, my apologies. And I want to just to fill in all my listeners of what's been going on. There's been a lot of good things going on in the clinical study space in this industry. Some have ramped up, more updates, if you will, in terms of their facilities. Definitely in the Texas facilities, definitely a lot of more higher paying studies. So that's always good for participants. Studies paying higher compensations, more stipends, more money's going out, as more sponsors, FDA, big pharma coming in, getting more of the sponsorships to the sponsors to be looking for the facilities, paying more money and bringing more participants, more of us, the subjects as they call us, participants as they call us, right? Or as I call my community, my fellow lab rat colleagues, my rich lab rat colleagues, because everybody knows here on this podcast what we subscribe to and talk about everything and anything about clinical studies, the good, the bad, the ugly, right? The secrets that we like to get out there, everybody to know about this in this nation of America. And in terms of, just with the studies by itself, I mean, that's why we're called to do this. My job is to help everybody, me and my team at Clinical Study Secrets here. Our job is to help people to become rich doing these clinical studies. It doesn't matter if you do this for a couple of months, whatever space that you're in and walk of life, or if you do it like a year or two, or like myself, if you become a career, you know, 10, 11, 12 years running as myself, and many others that's like myself that's out there listening, or those that know what I'm saying. We made this to be we've mastered this, and we made it a career of being a rich lab rat. We made this pretty much our profession because it pays so well. Nonetheless, the goal is from there to go to become not just a person that this is your business, but to go and make this a situation to where you could take the funds and take the monies that you've accumulated and somehow, some way, start investing that money. There's so many different asset classes we can get into to talk about that. But the bottom line of it is that's what I'm all about. That's what my team, what we're all about, is to help people to take that money and have that money then work for you, where you don't have to give what's called your time, right? The goal here is about time freedom. And the time that you give in terms of the studies is no different than that person that works the 9 to 5, that man, woman, child that works any kind of a 9 to 5 system where you're giving your time for money on the clock. We do the same thing here. Us, my fellow lab rats, all of us that get into being participants in these clinical study trials, we're giving our time away from our families, time away from our kids, time away from our parents or guardians or whatever loved ones that you have in your life. It's taking you away, especially if you're doing the studies that pay the most money, because those are the studies that give you the week time, the 2 week, the month, the 2 months, right? There was a study I did previously this year. Most people, it's not for the faint of heart. Study was around 70 days, $45,000. Now that's pretty good money for some. So a lot of people working a 9 to 5, that's what they would make nearly in a year if they're just, common wages. But, after taxes, as I say, not the gross, but the net that they take home. But for me to make that kind of money, and all the other 30 participants that was there, to make that kind of money, that compensation, without having to work, taking the medicines, and then you have the doctors, you have all the good professionals in the medical field making sure you're okay, and you're there having your time to be used wisely. A lot of people worked on their businesses in them times. A lot of people were starting a business in that time. I've seen people working, youngsters in there, like in their 20s, working on learning languages. They were learning Spanish, right? In that time, there were some individuals that were working on their instrumentation, like guitar and piano, learning that in that time. Some was trading the stock market, doing, their day trading in that time and getting some good wins, right? So, and even myself, always looking to acquire more assets and looking to invest, things of the nature that I'm involved in, and networking with others. So it's the time used wisely makes it worthwhile. But yeah, that's a lot of money, getting $3,500 to $4,000 every week for 10 weeks or more. I mean, to some, that's like, wow, right? Sign me up, right? But at the end of the day, like I said, it's not for the faint of heart. You got to be willing to deal what comes with it. And this is giving your time for money. It's paying you a lot, right? It's no different than basketball, for instance, the NBA, the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, when they go on those rodeo trips, or when we go, because obviously I'm here in San Antonio, right? Go Spurs go. We'll get it next year. Learning experience, of course, right? For my fellow basketball people out there, they know what I mean. But yeah, those players on that court, Castle, you got Vassell, you got De'Aaron Fox, you got, all of them, Shan Penny. Of course, we got the alien himself, Mr. Wembenyama. But you're talking about every time they're bouncing that ball on the court, even Mitch Johnson, the coach, and the whole coaching staff on that court, that's when they're getting paid. They're not bouncing that ball in that court, they're not getting paid. Their contract, well, they are getting paid because they have a contractual agreement. But you understand what I mean. It's a high-paying job. The National Basketball Association, the NBA, is a job. And those that play it, the athletes, are employees. Okay? So it's no different. What we do in these clinical studies, it's a job. Celebrities on TV, superstars, all of that. It's a job. They're getting paid by their employer. So the goal is to be an investor, having your money work for you so you don't have to be away from your loved ones. You can have freedom. My aim is to help people with the clinical study secrets. For instance, another update to have for you, that site is up and running. Membership is very much so going to help a lot of people as I start ramping around here. Ramping up the Google ads, Facebook ads, SEO. Have a lot of people on my team doing a lot of work. We're going to be having a lot of content we're going to be pumping out in September, October, November, December, this last quarter coming up upon us of the year. It's going to be a lot of good stuff that we're going to help a lot of people to find these studies, to locate these studies, to get in the first, second screening of these competitive studies, and to be able to have a chance to impact their bottom line, to be able to have so much money coming in to where they can get to where they're comfortable, whatever their ceiling is. Everybody's ceiling is different. Everybody doesn't want to be a six-figure earner, right? Everybody doesn't want to be a seven-figure earner, to take the money from studies and invest that to get to seven figures or eight figures or more, right? It's different strokes for different folks, as the old saying goes. So everybody is different. So what we're talking about here is those that want to get to the wealth and those that want to have the time freedom where they can be able to spend it with their loved ones, and money is not an issue anymore. That's our goal. That's my goal. That's our goal, right? As the logo, the slogan is, smile, say cheese. I'm gonna help you get that cheese, right? The site is up and running. Anybody can go to clinicalstudysecrets.com and they can go ahead and check that out. Place your email in there, and I'll give you that free book. So far as that ebook that I'll give you that help you know everything about studies. Anything you don't know about this, it's in that ebook. I'm gonna pretty much make it a hard copy, an actual, turn it into a short read book real soon, to start shipping that out to individuals as well later this year. But as of right now, it's the ebook. And then you can see the site and see the membership, see if you want to get in. My goal is clinical studies are free, okay? To go to the study place is free. It doesn't cost you anything other than your travel and your time to get there. It's not costing you anything, right? There's people in WhatsApp groups and Telegram groups, and there's people all over sharing this word of mouth for free, right? But there's a vast world out there, a whole nation of hundreds of millions of people that have no idea what this is, have no idea that you don't have to work hard for money like this. To have no idea. They only know what they've been conditioned and programmed to know from their guardians or from their parents, or from, they only know this, and this is all they know. So therefore they don't have the options to know about this. Being 18 years old to 60 years old, and you can participate in these studies to make high paying money like that, to change your life for the better. And then you have someone like myself. That's where I come in. I want to be a guide. I want to be a bridge to those individuals that don't know. So when they do find out, they could be able to take that money and be wise with it, right? They don't have to go through what I went through and many others like me that mess off a good 3, 4, 5 years of just getting money fast at a young age, like when you're in your 20s or 30s and you're just blowing it. Or even as a teenager, 18, 19, 20, before 21, and just blowing through it. How beautiful it is for those that learn what I'm going to be showing them when they get a membership, right? Just $50 a month and you get that membership. Of course, there's bonuses too, all the bonuses of having me take you hand by hand, step by step, of $150, the bonus. But you're still talking about anywhere from $50 for the membership. I'm sending you out there the alerts of when studies come, the email alerts. You're getting emails from me left and right from different facilities for the first and second screenings. So you know what's going on. You're always at the top of the game to know what's what and what's showing up where, right? Where you can make that informed decision to go participate and get your money really to skyrocket in your pocket, right? Whether you have a job or whether you don't want to do a job, the 9 to 5, maybe you want to subscribe to a different life. Hey, I want financial freedom, Maurice. I want that, Mr. T. Okay, I can help you get there. You get that membership, $50. You get the bonuses, and you get even more. And we'll get into that in later episodes, but you'll see it when you go to the site. Someone's paying me no more than either $50 or with the bonuses, $200 total cost to me monthly, but they're getting me, whether your goal is 5,000 that month, 10,000 that month, 15, 20,000 that month. I have ways to show you. I have ways to show you how you can get that. It's not hard, but you got to know and have to understand that it is who you know and what you know in this world. And like the scripture in the biblical, Hosea 4:6, right? Knowledge is power. People perish for lack of knowledge, right? But I like to take it a step farther, like my mentor Napoleon Hill would always say. Knowledge is power, but you can go a step further with that, okay? Because the library has all the books in the world in it. The biggest library in the world, right? Anytime you want to know something, the library has everything in terms of knowledge. But it's not powerful, is it? No, it's just sitting there. And that unless a man, woman, or child go to that library and pick up that book, that literature, it doesn't matter if it's an ebook, if it's a hard copy, whatever the case. Once you get that and you utilize it, you immerse yourself, you dive in and grab that information and put it in your mind, and then you use it, you utilize it wisely, that's when it becomes powerful. So as Napoleon Hill would say, to coin his phrase, knowledge applied is power, not just knowledge by itself. Without the knowledge, or utilized, as I say, it's nothing more than a library sitting with books that can collect dust, right? Or files of information of ebooks or files just sitting online, just sitting there as files waiting for the man, woman, or child to come and dive in and discover it and then put it to use. So I'm giving you the information, and paying me the money is minute compared to the gargantuan amount that you can make. It's paramount how much money you can make, right? It's uncanny the amount of money you can make. But unless you apply it, it means nothing. It's just information that I'm giving. So let's dive in to the last part of this podcast. I don't want that. That's my updates. That's everything that's going on. That's my apologies. And that's my promise to you all listening to how we're going to continue to keep this going every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Is going to be a podcast. That's what the schedule is. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I'm going to make it my task to make sure that I continue to have that to be what is going to be honored. If it's not me, it's going to be either someone I'm interviewing that's going to be on a podcast episode. I'm going to have a lot of people I'm interviewing making 5-6 figures or more that's got the time freedom, young, middle-aged, and old alike. And I just don't want everybody to hear from me. I want people to hear from others too. We're going to bring the videos as well coming soon, seeing that Apple has made the updates to make it to where they can show the podcast in video now. So that's a huge update. So we're going to be doing that. Having it be videos where I can show the individuals as well. Because, seeing is believing a lot too, right? Not just hearing, not just be hearers of the word, but doers, right? But yeah, some good things coming. So with that, but I do want to share with you all, I do love personal development. You know me. It's helped me so much, not just having the money, but having the mentality to go along with the money, right? So before I wrap this up, I do want to let everybody know that, yes, I want to leave you with this, okay? Because I've come to find in that 8-month hiatus when I was away from last November, a lot of things I just feel that's very important that I should put and share with everybody. Like, for instance, how success can really reduce your hunger. I've noticed a lot of times when people are hungry and they really want to do something, like when I first was getting in studies, I was hungry, I wanted it. But then when you get success, sometimes that can be a beautiful trap, right? When the hunger's not there, things can change. For instance, that's a good thought of the day, right? There's a danger in being too comfortable, right? Success itself can reduce your hunger, your initiative, your growth. Success solves problems, but it can also remove the pressure that made the growth necessary that you solve those problems, right? So habits that help you arrive, they're not always the habits that will keep you growing, right? From Napoleon Hill, straight away. It's very, very important to know that. Success, it gives you freedom. And that's what we want here. That's why we do the studies, is to get the money so they can have a bulk amount of money at one time. And we can have that freedom now, that time. But success can give you more freedom, but quietly reduce the pressure that it took to get you to become better at something. I mean, just think about that. The personal initiative that it creates that opportunity, advancement, growth, those principles matter a lot after success, but it even matters more when you get successful because it is possible to become comfortable enough. Initiative is no longer automatic. The work still gets done, but the reputation carries a lot of weight, like Napoleon Hill would say. You just got to understand that the early ambition that most people have, it benefited from necessity. Like when people have a need for something, that's when that mind kicks in overdrive and they have to get it done. Like when your back's against the wall, right? Or you need that money, you need that job, you need this bill paid, right? You need to change your living situation. You need to invest. Say if you're a business person like myself, you need to get that capital, that ready capital on hand. I need this asset I need to buy, whether it's real estate, whether it's crypto, whether it's stocks, whatever have you, whether it's farming with food, produce, whatever it is you need, or you need to learn something, right? I need that skill. I need to get this mentor. When they take you by the hand, some of these multi-million-dollar mentors or billion-dollar mentors, so much more you can learn from them, right? Now, here's the thing. When you have that need, that pressure sharpens your attention. Once you get success, though, as we see this all the time with celebrities, with entertainers, with anything like that, it's like the success provides security, but then the reason to stretch and to get more becomes it's like more internal battles then. Like growing, it no longer depends on just necessity. Now it becomes like you can choose, like a chosen standard. The extra mile matters most when you no longer have to take it. That's what I mean by the past success can be a beautiful trap. Let me leave you with this. It's a good chart that I saw one time with Napoleon Hill. I love it. When you get success and then the comfort sets in, then you drift away, then there's stagnation. Here's some signs you got to look at that where you don't let that happen. Like rely heavily on what you used to do and what works before. And we see this with AI. A lot of things that people complaining and a lot of people are nervous about jobs getting replaced, right? Is because they're looking at what no longer requires them to learn anymore, right? And that's why you can be replaced. If you stop being a beginner, people think, oh, I don't want to begin and start all over again, right? But think about that. If you choose some challenge that makes you become a beginner again, it's like you never stop learning, right? So you're going to always overcome whatever. You're never going to be stagnant because you start over. It's kind of like milestones. A lot of my gamers out there know what I mean. When you look at the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 that's coming out on PS5 and Xbox and Steam, right? These Call of Duty games, a lot of people are like, wow, you can rank up and get to a level like you do in the military, right? And get your guns ranked up, get your player ranked up, but then you got to start all over again. If you want to prestige, then you start all over again. The prestige again, you got to keep starting over. But look how much better you're getting when you do that. Look how much you're learning more when you start over, when you become a beginner and start all over again. You can look at the next step. Like you want to protect efficiency more than your curiosity. That's something that comfort could be taken over, right? If you look at that. But your goal should always be to improve the value that you create for other people. That's what we do here at Clinical Study Secrets. We're wanting to create a place where we can improve the value of someone's lives. Money does do that. Cash flow, right? Mr. Robert Kiyosaki, one of my major mentors in the beginning, and changed my life. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, author, right? Is huge on that word, those two words, cash flow, right? It does increase your life, but the time freedom comes from that, right? You also want to check your standards. Today's success helps you to prepare for tomorrow's responsibilities. And last thing I got to leave you is protect your success more than when you create what's next. You have to look at your situation of, success should increase your capacity. Success should not lower your standards. Okay? And that's the danger of being too comfortable. Comfort and stagnation sets in and it stunts growth. So just because you get in these studies and make a lot of money, that's what I leave you with, everybody, especially those that's looking to want to look at my podcast, go to my membership or go to the site. clinicalstudysecrets.com, get the membership, things of this nature. And my thing is this, even if somebody doesn't want the membership, I'm all about, you know, I love to share things with people in life, and it grows 100-fold. It comes back to me, right? So people don't have to get my membership. I mean, they can hear about the study information from anybody. And if someone is getting into those studies, I highly suggest, that's all I'm concerned about. I just want people's lives to change, whether it comes from me and they get my membership and they let me coach them, they let me walk them step by step, take them by the hand, like what I didn't have when I first got involved in this 12 years ago, or if they learn from somebody else. The goal, all I'm saying, is get with it, work it, because it will work for you if you work it. Right? Do it professional too. Don't do it like lollygagging and being like a novice, like being like unprofessional. This is a lot of money that can be made, and you can take this and change your life when you apply that money to do other things that you want to do in the world. So don't take the opportunity and just spit up on it. Like, you know what I mean? Utilize it and bend it to your will. Don't look at it as if it's something that's, this is a fly-by-night thing. Clinical studies have been here, my friends, since America has been here. You know, this 250-year history we just celebrated not too long ago, July. Clinical studies have been around for that whole time, because you got to remember, since America's got involved and being in the world landscape, there's always things that got to be tested. There's always products. There's always drugs. There's always food. There's anything you could think of had to go through some type of testing first before it got rolled out to the mass majority of the public, of the nation. So before someone can shun about this and turn it away and turn the other cheek, I ain't doing nothing like that. I say people need to do their due diligence. Look into it first. Look how much money is made. Look how many people, men and women, have gotten rich from it, and utilize that to go on to help, with research and development, R&D, to better people's lives and better the economy, That's my little rant. That's my little comeback. I'm back, back to stay on this little podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Greatly appreciate it. And like we say always here, smile, say cheese, because I'm going to help you get that cheese. Have a good day, everybody. You want the secrets to clinical study trials? Then go get my free Clinical Study Secrets guide at clinicalstudysecrets.com. Inside this guide, you'll see me crush the 12 false beliefs that hold people back in life. But you'll also discover how to become a rich lab rat so you too can escape the rat race.